I'll call this meeting to order. 7 o'clock. Roll call by the county clerk.
We have 29 present and 1 absent.
And for your information, Mary Roberts is still trying to get online. We're having some technical difficulties. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Smith, would you lead us tonight? Take a minute to think about your work tonight. Thank you. Please be seated. We're in compliance with the open meetings law, Mr. Administrator.
We are, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion for approval of the agenda. So moved by Supervisor Johns, seconded by Mr. Paulson. Any additions, subtractions, anything that needs to be moved? Otherwise, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Approval of minutes of April 18th, 2023. Mr. Winnicky.
The minutes from April 18th, 2023 is presented.
Moved by Mr. Winnicky, second by Mr. Jekyll. Any additions, subtractions that anybody noticed? All in favor? Say. Opposed?
Aye.
Hearing none. Minutes of April 18th are approved. Communications.
First, you have the notice of public hearing for planning and zoning, which is May 25th, 2023 at 7 p.m. And then you will also find the treasurer's report, which is printed on a lavender sheet of paper. Thank you.
Thank you. And for the board's information, the reason the planning and zoning public hearing has been moved to May 25th, there was a failure to by the newspaper to have it published by the proper date, so we had to move it a week later to Brew with a View. Matt. All right. Public comment. Anybody for public comment? Mr. Gross. You have 3 minutes.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman. Got a few different items here, going back to January. Mr. Smith, you were just wondering at that time if there was some place in the budget to where they could save money. Was on page 374, expenditures number 531562 and 536531. The county is still paying rent on land where they had their asphalt plant that they got rid of in 2006. Then it's about $15,000 a year. Basically, if you look, simple math, it's about $225,000. So, all right. Then I'm concerned about my, if we are fellow employees, the road crews are still brushing like I brushed 50 years ago. And they only have flail mowers for cutting the grass along the roadways. And rotary is at least 5, you can look this stuff up on the internet, and, about 5 times faster than a rotary mower, There's different ways to save money, at least on the highway committee. But I want to personally thank you all about the property that was sold on Highway B. You know, there was two things that I couldn't figure out why they didn't sell the whole amount, but they only sold 0.6268 acres that were sold for only $8,300, and that's actually like an improved residential lot. So I've been arguing with, I got a couple parcels that I don't have any residences on it, but I'm being assessed residential for them, and it's running between $38,000 and $40,000 an acre. And if you do the calculation on that, that assessment now per acre that I can use as a comp is only $13,242. That, you know, 28 of you agreed on that amount in January 2023. So I thank you very much. Okay, and then I was involved in a meeting on January 30th that I didn't think I would be, that I, you know, the meeting I was involved in the summer of 2022, I thought it was kind of a dead issue. But you know, I'm learning about politics here. That there's a item called high capacity wells, you know, and it was, you know, I thought, hey, this is a done deal because, you know, I must be using a different dictionary than everybody else is, because it says the DNR is an exclusive authority to regulating high capacity wells, and that's from NR 845.02. So I spent a couple hours looking at this, and basically, you know, the county really has no authority, and then it tells you to go to NR 845.06 and NR 845.11 and NR 145 and NR 8112. So if, you know, if anyone else wants to, you know, try to understand this is way above my pay grade, that somebody can explain this to me why we're pursuing this issue.
Time. So, thank you. Takes us to any other public comment? Annual reports. Economic Development Consortium. Deborah Rybel.
Good evening. Thank you all for having me here tonight. And just first of all, I wanted to say thank you. And that last year was the first meeting. My first time coming in front of you all last year was the week after I'd been hired as the interim executive director. And then last November, you all appointed me as the permanent director. So thank you for your trust in that. But again, my name is Deborah Reinbold. I'm the executive director of Jefferson County Economic Development Consortium and Thrive Economic Development. Ben, if you wouldn't mind, next slide. So last year, when I came in front of you, this was the last slide that we had. So moving forward from then, we were looking at having a retreat, revising our 2022-2026 strategic plan, change in leadership as Vicki Pratt had left our organization, implementation of a housing development services program. That's all right. And using revolving loan funds to stimulate new investment. You can go on to the next slide anyway. So May of 2022, we planned this strategic plan retreat. We have two different boards that I work with, a private sector board and then our public sector board. And 11 of those members all came together for an overnight that was sponsored by the Greater Watertown Community Health Foundation. And the goal for that was to identify 3 to 4 priorities that both our public and private board members could agree upon and balance business interests with public interests. Next slide. So we came up with these 4 different areas of focus. So traditional economic development is about business retention, expansion, and attraction. And coming out of that strategic planning meeting, we said, you know what, we can't do that unless we also have an activated workforce, additional diverse housing, and trust and partnerships. Next slide. And I'm trying to do this as fast as I can because last week I did this, it was a half-hour presentation. So any questions you have, I'm not going to do that. All right, so thriving businesses. So really what we do is we try and connect businesses with people, with resources, sites, and buildings. Next slide. This has resulted in announcements such as Nestle Purina planning a $100 million expansion, Capital Catalyst revolving loan fund in Fort Atkinson with Pete's Tire. And the next, which I think is my favorite, Papa Bronx Bakery takes part in the Fort Atkinson revolving loan fund program. So those were all projects that we were involved in. Next. So in 2022, we had 86 projects resulting in 11 new investments and or jobs. The numbers that we have here are all conservative because a lot of these people, a lot of these organizations don't have to give us numbers. But those that do are typically the ones that involved either the state or our participants in revolving loan funds. So as we're looking at this, 150 plus jobs and $104 plus million invested, again, that's conservative. Next slide. Activated workforce. So Jefferson County, between 2010 and 2020, has only grown by 1,006 residents. Next. In December of 2022, our unemployment rate for the county was 2%. That's less than 1,000 people. Next. In the Whitewater School District, 18% of the students there are multilingual learners. And the reason that that's important is because we have a large migrant population that's coming into the county. That's a way for us to activate them into our workforce. And so that's part of our initiative, is to try and go through and support that growth. Next. And so part of that is what we're calling tapping the untapped workforce. This Thursday is our second career fair, where we partner with Latino Academy of Workforce Development. So this Thursday from 3 to 7 o'clock in the Watertown Library, we'll be hosting this career fair. And again, we're partnering with the Latino Academy of Workforce Development so that they can easily speak with the participants and hopefully gain trust so we can have additional participants. Again, this is the second career fair that we've done. The next one will be down in Whitewater in September. Next slide. Diverse housing. So it started with the Heartland Housing Initiative. That was a program that both Dodge and Jefferson County have worked to participate in. WEDC put in money, the Greater Watertown Community Health Foundation put in money, and then so did Dodge and Jefferson counties. And it ended up with a pool of $125,000 where communities could all apply to participate in for consulting work. And that was to support whatever housing needs each of those communities had. So we're currently working with 7 different communities within the 2 counties, and again, helping them to identify whatever their need is. Then next is the Housing Summit. So next week, Thursday, we are going to be hosting a housing summit, and you're all invited. Hopefully you've received the invitation, on May 18th from 7:30 in the morning until 10:30 in Lake Mills. And really what we're looking to do is to explain the issue that we have within the county as far as housing. We have a shortage, according to one recent market study, of 2,400 housing units by 2030. And that's prior to the announcements that we just talked about with Palermo and with Nestle, and also with Clon Bio, the ethanol plant. So we have a huge need. Vacancy rates are less than 2%. So if any of you look on Facebook, you're going to see people who are asking for housing, and so we're looking to support that. You could click the next button. So part of what we're doing, part of our solution for that, is what we call the Live Local Revolving Loan Fund. The county, of course, is participating in this with $1 million towards this fund. Greater Watertown Community Health Foundation has another $2 million that they're putting in. And our goal is to have a minimum $10 million fund so that we can help to offset the gap for developers to come here into the county versus they're doing development in, say, Dane County or in Waukesha County, where they can get higher rents. Next. Finally, we're still working on our HUD certification. So for those of you who know Roxanne in my office, she is a home buyer counselor. She's HUD certified. And we now have a requirement to become HUD certified as an organization as well. So we have gone through a significant portion of that application, and we are looking to continue that so we could take advantage of the home buyer grants that are available, as well as the home rehab deferred loan program. It's a 0% interest loan program for people who make 80% or less of the county median income. Next. Finally, trust and partnerships. So there are a lot of bridges that I had to try and rebuild with different communities specifically because of just some of the relationships that we had. So we're having a concerted effort in going out and talking with municipalities, hopefully rebuilding that trust, rebuilding partnerships. We also know that we can't do it all on our own. And so that's why we're working with groups like the Latino Academy of Workforce Development so that we can help to support their efforts because we know it's going to help our businesses. So I'm also on the board for the Bread Basket, which is up in Watertown. Jefferson County Chambers, see a couple of them in the corner over there, but we work quite a bit with them. The Workforce Development Board with Jeff Westra, and then I'm also on the Wisconsin Rural Partners Board, which is a statewide organization. Next. So 2023 so far, off to a bang, right? So I don't know if any of you saw the headline 50 million pizzas a year and 180 jobs coming to Jefferson. Of course, just down the street here, we've got Palermo is coming into town. And then the next, Jefferson, close to locking in perhaps the biggest development deal in community history. Of course, that's the old highway department site. So those are all projects that we've worked on so far this year. Next, upcoming events. So again, this Thursday, the Career Fair with the Latino Academy of Workforce Development. Next Thursday is the Housing Summit. We have what we call Conversations with Thrive, which is a way for people to learn a little bit more about our organization. This time we're going to be doing it at a Lake Country Dockhounds game. We found that a lot of our board members go there anyway. So if that helps to attract people, that's coming up on August 23rd. And then the next career fair down in Whitewater is going to be hosted on September 13th. Next. Thank you. I tried rushing it, but if anyone has any questions, please let me know.
Questions? Questions from the board? She's always available to answer your questions and in her office as well. So thank you very much. Next leads us to item B, annual reports, land and water conservation. Patricia Cicero.
Evening, everybody. I'm Patricia Cicero. I'm the director of the Land and Water Conservation Department. The overall goal of the Land and Water Conservation Department is to restore, improve, and protect the land and water resources throughout Jefferson County. We do this primarily through our Land and Water Resource Management Plan and a number of goals laid out through that plan. And we can't achieve those goals without the staff that we have. This includes Kim Lycopoulos. She's our administrative specialist. She's been with us for 10 years. And we have 3 resource conservationists, Joe Strupp, who's been with us for 17 years, as well as Dave Hoffman and Sam Peterson, who are more recent hires. We also have a water resource management specialist, and we're currently hiring a new one since the previous one went on to a new career. And then I have also been with the department for 24 years. We can also only attain our goals with the funding that we get. And with the annual report that you got last month, the very front page has a pie chart that shows where our funding comes from. So I'd like to highlight that 62% of that funding comes from grants, farm rent, fees, and also our tree program. So the biggest of those 62% is 42% we get through grants and also 14% through the county farm rent. So then the remainder is property taxes, which is 38%. We also can't reach our goals without all of the partnerships that we have throughout the county. That includes the county board and the committees, county departments, municipalities, agricultural producers and agribusiness, water resource groups and natural resource organizations, citizens, as well as state and federal agencies. That all of those partners play a role in the work that we do and the work that we accomplish. By far, our largest agricultural program is our Farmland Preservation Program. That program is a program in which landowners get a tax credit as long as they're following standards to protect soil and water resources. We have approximately 583 participants in that program last year, and that means more than 800, 900, let me start again, more than $800,946 in tax relief for those property owners. So it's a really important program to those farmers. We also have a number of cost sharing programs. We got money from the Department of Agriculture for installing mostly agricultural practices throughout the county, as well as funding from the Department of Natural Resources to install projects like rain gardens and shoreline gardens. All of these practices that we cost share, the goal is to reduce pollution and protect water quality. We're really proud of the cover crop program, which is another cost sharing program that we've developed over the last couple years. That program has been enhanced in this last year because of partnerships with the Jefferson County Soil Builders. That's a farmer-led group in the county, as well as the Nature Conservancy and the Department of Agriculture. Cover crops increase soil health and also keep soil on the land so that it doesn't run off and pollute our water quality. So last year we did over 2,670 acres of cover crops in the county, and we expect that number to grow this year as well. Another thing that we're very excited about is that last year we did some planning for a groundwater study. We're doing this because we don't have the data to truly understand what the quality is of our groundwater throughout the county. So we partnered with UW-Stevens Point as well as the health department and the zoning department to go forward with this study. It's going to be funded with American Rescue Plan Act dollars. And the goal was to recruit 800 wells, which we started doing this year. And I'm happy to report that we met that goal. And so we have about 940 wells recruited throughout the county. So we're really excited about that. So actually, recently citizens have started receiving their water sampling kits for their groundwater wells. And they're going to be sending those to UW-Stevens Point lab, where there's going to be 12 different constituents analyzed out of those water samples. And then later this year and into 2024, we're going to be getting the results and sharing them with the public and educating the public about the health of the groundwater. Another program, I don't know where the best place to hold this. It was fine for a while. Thank you. So the next program I wanted to talk about a little bit is the Agricultural Conservation Easement Program. Last year we worked with a farmer who has 94 acres, and this year that's going to result in us purchasing the development rights off of that property so that his agricultural land can stay in agriculture. This program is truly in line with our comprehensive plan and our ag preservation plan. We're partnering with American Farmland Trust, which is going to ensure that there's money for us in the next few years to assist other farmers with entering the program. We've received a significant amount of interest compared to previous years. And we also have a property that we're working with now that we expect an easement to go through next year. We also do a lot of work on water resources. We provide technical assistance to landowners, water resource groups, and municipalities, local governments throughout the county. So some of the highlights of that is that we train citizens to go out and monitor their lakes and streams to keep track and find trends in the water quality of those water bodies. The water resources person also does a significant amount of work on aquatic invasive species, both education and management. So those are basically the big highlights of our department. There's a lot more that we do. I'm very happy to answer any of your questions tonight, or my door is always open for you.
Questions from Ms. Cicero. Seeing none, thank you very much. That takes us to item C, Register of Deeds. Stacy Hoffman.
Good evening. As you said, I'm Stacy Hoffman, your Register of Deeds. I want to thank you guys for the opportunity to come and talk tonight. Just to give a little you-rah-rah about how awesome our department is. You know, every year I come and say how great we are. We make money for the county. A lot of times we make a lot of money for the county. I'm telling you this because 2023 is not as exciting. So far this year, we've had a lot less documents recorded. However, that doesn't mean that we're not doing anything. We're busy back indexing. So our department doesn't really ask for a lot from the county. Once in a while we ask for something, but not very often. We have great customers and great staff, so we have happy people coming to our office most of the time. The records that we keep in our office are needed by every citizens in the county. And I know I've said this before, but I want to keep reiterating it. That didn't come out right, I apologize. How important the records are that we have. Everybody uses them. Whether you're born, you get married, you get divorced, you have a family member that passes away, or you buy a home. So our motto is live or die, buy or sell, everything in between. We have your information. So not only does every citizen use our records, but also every county within the every department within the county does, whether it's directly or indirectly. And we are just the foundation of the county. So we have the county's history and its future in our records. So this year I was trying to think of something really cool to talk about because I know in the past I've listened to some people's annual reports and they're so much more exciting than mine. So I thought what I might do, just because I am a numbers person, I do have my accounting degree, is tell you a little bit about some things in our county or in our department. So last year, you may remember you approved a back indexing project for our department. So we are fully back indexed to 1960. And my staff, in the meantime, because we are a little bit slower, has back indexed an additional 3 years of documents. So you ask, why do we care? Who cares about those old documents? Well, a lot of people do, and our budget cares about it. Because in 2020, the average cost of a document in our office was $4.29. That would be somebody would research it and buy it. And in 2022, we're getting $5.96 because we have more documents for them to look at. And so that's a 38% increase in the value of each document that's back indexed. And then, as I mentioned a little bit ago, 2023 is kind of a sucky year, but that doesn't mean our county's not doing anything. The first quarter of 2023, we've recorded $3.6 billion in mortgages. That's a $600 million increase over last year for the first quarter. So we're doing something right. I don't know what it is, but something's going right in Jefferson County. So because we're not recording a lot of documents, we are getting higher transfer fees because the cost of a house is increased. Last year, the average cost of a house was $343,000 in Jefferson County. This year, it's $353,000 so far. So we're getting higher transfer fees. But I bring that up because there's some new legislation out there that's going to change the transfer fee calculation and amount. As a proposal, it's called SB 274. And the proposal is that it's going to reduce the transfer fee that somebody has to pay when they sell their home. Currently, we get $3 for every $1,000 sold. And this new legislation wants to drop it to $2 per every 1,000. The good part about it is the county will see a larger percent of that. Currently, we only get 20% of what we bring in for that. And in 2024, we should see 30% increase, 2025, a 40% increase, and then in 2026, we'll see a 50% increase. So that would mean right now we get 60 cents per every 1,000 that we send, that we bring in. And in 2026, we'll get $1 of every 1,000 that we bring in. So that will increase the revenues for the county. It just might take longer than what we anticipated. But I don't want to dwell on numbers too long because I know that can bore people, and I know we got a lot of important things to talk about. But I did want to bring up, I ran into Supervisor Gross, in the zoning department one day, and he was wanted to search his family property back to the beginning of time. I think it was. I'm not sure how far he wanted to go back with it, but we got talking about patents, and I thought it might be interesting for you to know a little bit about land patents that we hold in our office. There's three ways that people got land in the United States. The first way was obviously you outright buy it, right? You have money, you buy it. The second way is if you served in the military, you got some land. And then the third way is the land rush. And I've talked about that years past, where people would run and put their stake in and claim their land. So, but I thought the important part or the interesting part was the military service. So from 1775 to 1855, the United States granted bounty land warrants for military service, primarily to encourage people to volunteer to be in the military, but also to reward the veterans for their service. So if you were a private or non-commissioned officer, you got 100 acres of land. If you were a colonel, you got 500 acres of land. And if you're a major general, you got 1,100 acres of land given to you for your service. Now, that was way long ago, and some of you guys didn't get to benefit for that. I'm sorry. So, and then the third way was the land rush, and that was, and also called the Homestead Act. The East Coast was all developed, so they wanted people to move west, and they wanted to grow our wealth in our nation. So what they said is, we'll give everybody 160 acres of our federal land if you will promise that you live there for 5 years and farm the land and make improvements to it. All you had to do is be 21 years old, not fought against the United States, and that you would pay an $18 filing fee. I found that interesting because now you only pay $30. So in 161 years, we haven't gone far. We gain 7 cents a year. So that was pretty interesting to me. And the other interesting part was women could not vote at that time, but they could participate in the land rush. So women could actually own land. And you didn't even have to be a citizen of the United States. Immigrant can come over and get that same land as long as you didn't fight against us. So I talked about us back indexing documents. Land patents weren't originally recorded in the Register of Deeds office or at the federal level, and also some at the land office in Madison. But for some reason, somebody decided they wanted in the 50s to bring a bunch of land patents in and record them in our office, and so we're hitting those right now. The oldest one we found so far is from 1844. Our 10th president, John Tyler, signed the document. So it's pretty cool to see a signature of a U.S. president from the 1800s. So it's very hard to read the document, but it's there. So if you guys are ever bored and want to come look at documents in our office, we have them, and we'd be happy to show them to you. So that's it for my history lesson. And I do want to let you go on, and I just want to put out a little, I don't even know what I want to call it, but I want to say, I know you're going to talk about appointing Kelly Stoddy to the treasurer's office as the new treasurer, and I'm telling you, she's going to do a great job. I've worked with her for years before I came to the Register of Deeds, and I still work with her on a daily basis. You're going to make a right choice if you agree to do that. So I just have to do a quick thank you to my staff because they're awesome, and without that, I couldn't do all the cool things I get to do. And anytime you guys want to stop and visit me, I'd be happy to have you do that.
Thank you, Stacy. Any questions for Stacy? Thank you very much. Takes us to item D, Jefferson County Area Tourism Council. Holly Tierney.
Hello, I'm Holly Tierney, the Fort Atkinson Area Chamber of Commerce Tourism and Marketing Manager, as well as the Jefferson County Area Tourism Council President. And with me tonight is Megan Cooper. Megan is the Jefferson Chamber of Commerce Executive Director, and she's the JCATC Vice President. So thank you for giving us some time this evening to share a little bit of information about JCATC, our past accomplishments, and our current and future initiatives. So first of all, who is the Jefferson County Area Tourism Council? The JCATC is an organization of tourism and community representatives from all corners of Jefferson County. We're made up of a board of directors, numerous non-voting members, and a small number of contracted employees. The JCATC provides a wide range of tourism marketing for the county, mainly on a volunteer basis. In 2022, JCATC's many accomplishments included the design, printing, and distribution of 25,000 copies of the Jefferson County Official Guide, which I have set on most of your desks up there if you want to take a look at it. Let's see, placing it as far away as the Chicago area and throughout the state. Money raised from Jefferson County communities and advertising sales funds this project. The design, maintenance, and content production, including blogs, landing pages, and corresponding newsletter for the Enjoy Jefferson County Tourism website, which receives over 200,000 visits per year, is another project that we work on. The launching of a self-guided countywide barn quilt tour in collaboration with a local barn quilt artist featuring over 40 quilts is another initiative. The curating and management of Jefferson County Tourism Facebook and Instagram accounts. Our Facebook account alone reached over 160,000 people last year and gained nearly 1,000 new followers. The successful application of funding from 2 grants to assist in the recovery from pandemic-related setbacks in tourism and to promote a newly launched wedding promotion initiative, marketing Jefferson County as a central location for both affordable and agritourism-themed weddings to couples from Madison, Milwaukee, and Chicago areas, and contracting a part-time administrative and marketing support staff member. So those are things that JCATC accomplished last year. Megan's going to talk about some of the things that we're working on this year and that we've accomplished this year.
So currently in 2023, some of our goals first are expanding our membership, both with those who are members of our group, of our board, and beyond that, community members following our Facebook page, things like that. Continuing to market the county as a great wedding destination, being both affordable and in a great location. We've attended two bridal fairs so far this year and plan to attend more in the future. We produced our 25th anniversary edition of the Jefferson County Official Guide, which is the one you have in front of you. Continuing to have active blogging and social media presence and doing more collaborative posts to market Wisconsin-specific favorites. For instance, a multi-community feature highlighting great fish fries around our county and a collaborative feature highlighting the best local places to grab a Bloody Mary. You may have seen both of those on Facebook recently. They've both went crazy in the area and beyond. Continuing to promote and grow our barn quilt tour as we see the value in agritourism, especially in the Jefferson County area. Awarding over $500 in local gift cards to winners who enter to win on the Jefferson County website by subscribing to our newsletter. And doing more to market and build brand recognition for Jefferson County as a getaway with quintessential Wisconsin experiences like outdoors activities, fish fries, agritourism, and more. Our immediate goals, looking at our goals for the rest of this year, we have an administrative assistant that we recently contracted with, Laura. Our goal is to keep her. She's been doing amazing work for us. We are going to continue with our guidebook creation and work to expand the guidebook to reach more advertisers, to reach more readers. Continue to have a presence at trade shows and wedding expos and have a greater presence at conferences and events. And find new and creative ways to market our region as a collective getaway. We see the value of marketing the county as a whole in addition to marketing each individual community.
So our longer term goals for JCATC, at some point we hope to hire a full-time director. Since so much of what we do is volunteer based, it can be hard to really keep up that momentum, especially when you have a board that's continually changing. So we'd like to hire a full-time director to help support and execute a cohesive long-term vision and to accomplish more. We'd like to take advantage of our proximity to Madison, Milwaukee, and Janesville, and ideally we'd like to attract maybe some developers to have convention centers and sports arenas put into our area. We feel like we're a really great central location. And then our takeaways when it comes to Jefferson County tourism. When it comes to marketing our county, it makes sense to focus more on advertising towards the Chicago area and selling our region as a quick weekend Wisconsin getaway. And we'd like to also market our towns together, the way Door County, for instance, sells the region as a whole. not just the individual towns. We feel that we have great little communities, but we have an even better experience when someone wants to really hit a few of them. We'd like to focus more on outdoor fun and nature using the Wisconsin brand that people from out of state already recognize and love, more to our advantage. And we like to focus more on arts, one-of-a-kind experiences, homespun and unique experiences, giving people experiences that they will remember and talk about. It comes with built-in word-of-mouth marketing. So we just want to really find the unique things about Wisconsin and share them. And that's what we're doing, and we really appreciate that you let us share this with you tonight. Do you guys have any questions?
Thank you very much. Any questions? Any questions? Again, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Takes us to committee reports, resolutions, and ordinances. Buildings and Ground Committee, resolution entering into a contract with Wisconsin Terrazzo and Tile for terrazzo restoration in the county courthouse. Mr. Backlund.
Resolution number?
11.
Thank you. Entering into a contract with Wisconsin Terrazzo and Tile for terrazzo restoration in the county courthouse. The Jefferson County Courthouse main hallways and stairs were built utilizing terrazzo material. Terrazzo is made up from a blend of recycled materials and natural aggregates like quartz, granite, and marble to produce an attractive look with an extremely durable surface and is one of the most eco-friendly flooring options. Replacing the existing terrazzo with like material as part of the courthouse restoration project would be cost prohibitive. Due to the durability of terrazzo, the budget for the courthouse project included an allowance for the restoration services for infilling, patching, and installing of new terrazzo as needed, along with polishing of the entire floor to preserve the material for the long term. Due to the nature of the work and the lost art of terrazzo restoration, there are limited contractors to provide this service. 2 companies specializing in terrazzo restoration reviewed this project, one from Rockford, Illinois, and one from La Crosse, Wisconsin. Both companies conducted an on-site inspection and scope of review and based their bids on utilizing a 3M Scotch Guard finishing system to limit long-term maintenance costs. Each company determined the best means and methods to provide the restoration services to achieve the desired outcome. In addition, the quotes were based on performing the work in coordination with various other construction phases of the project. Total costs were within $1,400 of each other, with Wisconsin Terrazzo and Tile at $297,650 and Rockford Central Tile at $296,220, with both bids including the cost of a performance bond. It is recommended that the contract be awarded to Wisconsin Terrazzo and Tile based on their means and methods for restoration services, including greater patching of floor cracks versus epoxy infill, and complete replacement of the terrazzo base versus patching, which will lead to a better product for the long-term investment. $210,000 was allocated for this work in the courthouse project budget. The additional funding to complete this project will be allocated from the contingency. The Buildings and Grounds considered this resolution at its meeting on May 2nd, 2023, and recommended entering into a contract with Wisconsin Terrazzo and Tile for terrazzo restoration at the courthouse at a cost of $297,650 by a vote of 5-0. Fiscal note. There is $210,000 within the project allowance for the terrazzo restoration. The additional funds of $87,650 will come from the project contingency. I make a motion to approve this resolution.
Motion by Supervisor Backlund. Where's this? Second by Supervisor Lindell. Any questions, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Oh, Supervisor Martin.
Chair, can you hear me?
Yes. It seems to be going off and on. I can see it light up and then it stops, then it light goes off. Now it's back on.
I'm on, sorry. Okay, quick. For our constituents, would it be possible just to review what was the cause for the increase from the original planned budget to the bid amount? That's my first question. And then my second question is what the current project budget contingency fund total is and how much has been used. Thank you.
Mr. Backlund or Mr. Waymire, can you address this?
So I'll start with the delta change from when the allowance was put together in about 2019 till now. One of the companies did come up and do a walkthrough with Moss Brothers to review the conditions in the floor, the potential patching needs, and then specifically where we had infill doors. If you ever looked at the floor, we have the flat flooring, but then there's a cove that goes up into the base of where the wall continues. And so part of that infill was to fill that in so it looked the same throughout the duration. As we went through, we had some significant other areas of structure with cracking and things along that nature. And then part of it was just the times of materials and supply and demand issues that we've all experienced. So as they looked more in depth at the project, they scoped it out more with Moss Brothers and looked at the needs. We also requested a higher finish level. So the initial finish that was being reviewed when the allowance was created was a type of finish that we had on the old product. And basically what that would require was ongoing stripping and then repolishing that floor throughout the year. We looked at this as an investment that once it's done, it has a longer term duration in terms of the product, that would reduce the long-term maintenance costs of the floor. And quite honestly, for the staff that would have to take care of it, it would limit those interruptions of what they have to do, plus the interruption of the public when we have to shut down parts of the courthouse through the day. Off the top of my head, because I don't have the number and I can double check this for you, Supervisor Martin, I believe we're still approximately at $1.8 to $2 million left in the contingency. But I'll double check that before I finish up here.
So do you know how much we've used so far out of the project contingency fund?
I think you'll get those numbers to you here.
Sorry, I thought that was what was left. I didn't hear. What was left.
Any other questions? Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the resolution passes. Takes us to executive committee. Appointment of Kelly Stady as Jefferson County Treasurer to fill an unexpired term. Supervisor Winnicky.
Resolution 2023-12. John Jensen has provided notice as required by law that he intends to retire effective June 30th, 2023, which is 18 months before the end of his elected term. Wisconsin state law outlines the process and how to fill the unexpired term of the county treasurer. And Wisconsin statute 1721 parent 3 outlines that, and that's before you, but essentially you have a choice between either a special election or appointing someone to fill the unexpected term. The executive committee considered the options provided under Wisconsin law to fill this unexpected term and ultimately concluded that the county board should make an appointment to fill the remaining term and to endorse the appointment of Kelly Stady to this role, who currently serves as the chief deputy treasurer in this office. Ms. Stady has served in this office for nearly 23 years and has served as chief deputy since 2007. The executive committee approved on April 26, 2023, this motion by a vote of 5-0. So whereas the executive summary is incorporated into this resolution, and whereas the county treasurer, John Jensen, has provided formal notice of his retirement effective June 30th, 2023, causing a vacancy in the office of county treasurer, and whereas the county board of supervisors is the appointing authority per state statute 17.21 parent 3, and whereas the county board considered ordering a special election to fill this role, and determined that it's in the best interest of Jefferson County to fill the unexpected term for this office through the appointment process versus holding a special election. And whereas County Treasurer John Jensen has recommended his Chief Deputy Kelly Stady to serve the remainder of his unexpired term. Now therefore be it resolved that due to the retirement of County Treasurer John Johnson, effective June 30th, 2023, the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors hereby appoints Kelly Stoddy to fill the unexpected term of County Treasurer effective July 1st, 2023. Fiscal note, this resolution has no fiscal impact. Mr. Chair, I move approval.
Motion made by Mr. Winnicky, second by Mr. Paulson. Questions, discussions? And for your information, Kelly Stoddy's in the back of the room. And if there's any questions for her, I'm sure she'd be glad to answer them as well. Seeing none, we'll go with a voice vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, Kelly. Which takes us to item 12, law enforcement and emergency management. Supervisor Morris, ordinance amending the Jefferson County boating ordinance.
I have ordinance number 2023. Amending the Jefferson County boating ordinance. Jefferson County Board of Supervisors does hereby amend Section 7 of the Jefferson County boating ordinance, ordinance number 96-36 as follows. This ordinance amendment authorizes 2 additional buoys to be placed in the waters of the Rock River, designating a slow no-wake area at the coordinates listed in Section 7. So you can see Section 7 there. This is already a slow no-wake area. The first bullet underneath has a latitude, longitude, latitude, longitude. Those buoys are already in place. The second bullet has 2 new places, and so the ordinance isn't making this a slow no-wake area. It already is. The ordinance is just putting 2 new buoys in addition to the 2 that are already there. And in Section 12, the ordinance amendment shall take effect and be enforced from and after its passage and publication as required by Wisconsin law. This ordinance has no fiscal impact. I move for passage of this ordinance.
Moved by Supervisor Morris. Do I have a second? Second by Supervisor Johns. Questions? Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, the ordinance passes. Takes us to Parks Committee. Resolution authorizing application to Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources Recreation Boating Facilities Grant. Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have resolution number 2023 Lucky 13. The Jefferson County Parks Department is seeking grant funds to purchase and install a suspended platform fishing pier and kayak launch at Burnt Village County Park, which will be constructed to meet the standards required by the Americans with Disabilities Act. The resolution authorizes Jefferson County Parks to seek funding for the project through the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources Recreation Boating Facilities Grant Program. The Parks Committee considered this resolution at its meeting on May 4, 2023, and recommended forwarding to the County Board for approval. The fiscal note, $15,000 is included in the 2023 Parks Department budget for the project. Total estimated cost for the project would be $30,000 with a 50% matching grant from Wisconsin DNR. This resolution increases the Parks Department budget revenue and expenditures by $15,000 for acceptance of the Recreation Boating Facilities Grant and authorizes the Finance Director to make the necessary budget adjustments to enact this resolution. As a budget amendment, County Board approval requires a 2/3 vote of the entire membership of the County Board, 20 members. Mr. Chairman, I move for adoption of this resolution.
Moved by Mr. Christian. I didn't see who did the second. Supervisor Gulick. Questions, discussion? Seeing none, we'll take a roll call vote.
Supervisor Lund,
Aye.
Supervisor Turville Heights. Oh,
Aye.
I see you voted. Never mind. Supervisor Roberts,
Aye.
Supervisor Johns, Supervisor Paulson, Supervisor Lindell. We have 30 yes, 0 no, and 0 absent.
Thank you. The resolution passes 30-0. Takes to item 14, Planning and Zoning Committee. Supervisor Jaco, report on petitions and ordinance amending official zoning map.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Report to the honorable members of the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors. Jefferson County Planning and Zoning Committee, having considered petitions to amend the official zoning map of Jefferson County, filed for public hearing held on March 16th and April 20th, 2023, as required by law pursuant to Wisconsin statutes. Notice thereof having been given and being duly advised of the wishes of the town boards and persons in the areas affected, hereby makes the following recommendations. Approval of the petitions as listed, but I want to make a note, the very first petition, R4459A-22, should say -23. That's the only correction I have on this. Dated this 24th day of April 2023, Blaine Paulson, Secretary. Moving on to ordinance number 2023-4, amending the official zoning map of Jefferson County as listed. I move for adoption of this ordinance.
Moved by Mr. Jaco, second by Supervisor Morris. Questions? Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, we're an agreeable group tonight. Excellent. The ordinance passes. Takes us to item 15, public comment of a general nature. Supervisor Backlund.
The strategic plan survey, is that for all of us to fill out?
I was just going to mention
Okay,
that
thank
next
you.
under announcements, yes. Seeing that there's no public comment of a general nature, you should have this, probably called a goldenrod. I don't know what it's a strategic plan survey, and you're willing to mark it however you can adjust your schedule or your how you would like to participate, and please turn these back into County Clerk Audrey over here this evening, hopefully before you leave. Thank you. With that, any other announcements? Mr. Waymeyer.
Yeah, and just to clarify for this too, this is for the month of June. So these will take place over almost a 4-week period for sign up. So we just want to know who wants to individual interviews or want to be in group interviews. We do have them set up for every single county board member to have individual interviews is built into the budget. So, but last time we had some folks who didn't want to do it. So we want to maximize the use of those interview times. So that's why we're asking for that survey. The second one is just a reminder that Tammy did send out an email for tours in 2 weeks, I want to say. So if you need of the courthouse project, so if you would like to do that, please sign up. If you need more information on that, please reach out to Tammy in my office. And then the last thing is Supervisor Jones asked me to share this with you all, and specifically partly the award, but also the message I gave to our team. So we were notified just recently that for the 9th consecutive year that we received the Distinguished Budget Award. And what I wrote to our team, including department heads, fiscal staff, finance department, and folks who just make this happen, talks about what this is. And it's really an award that signifies that we are trying to make the budget document our best practice in budget. Creates transparency to the public. It's a sound policy document. And I said in the email it was 12 counties, but I think we're roughly only 9 counties in the state achieve this status. We continue to improve this document every year. And the scores that we received this year are the highest we've ever received. So great kudos to the team on that with no deficiencies. And we received several outstanding scores. And we received specific recognitions related to our strategic goals and strategies as it ties back to the budget process. So this is a lot extra effort. If you look at some other counties and how their budget looks, it looks different than our budget. And for those who've been around for a little bit, our budget has transformed over the last several years. And so I think it's a positive thing. And it's a great output in terms of how we move things forward. So I just want to make sure the board is aware of what efforts with your collaboration and partnership to make this all happen. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Waymire. Thank you to our finance department and our budget committee and our finance committee. Thank you very much. Supervisor Christensen has an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to take a moment to remind everybody that our first Brew with a View is coming up on May 25th on a Thursday, coming up at Korth Park. It's a great opportunity to have fun and also be a fundraiser with our partner of Tyranina Brewing. And I believe the first band is the Roadhouse Chiefs, a very popular band. Thanks for that, for the time.
Thank you very much. And just an FYI, the reason I was taking some pictures here was for historical reasons. So sometime you'll look back and say, boy, remember when we used to meet in this place? And hopefully, Mr. Waymire says we should have our October 9th meeting in the new courthouse room. Keep your fingers crossed. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved by Mr. Jacobs, second by Mr. Kennard. This is not debatable. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you all.